Globally, irregular migration and human trafficking have reached crisis proportions in fragile and conflict-affected states. In Nigeria, the combination of ongoing low-intensity conflict, a large youth population, and limited economic opportunities has led to high levels of irregular migration, or migrants rather, seeking to make the dangerous journey to Europe. Now, according to the International Organization for Migration, the IOM, more than 2,000 illegal migrants have been rescued off Libyan coast so far in 2021. This is part of what we'll be talking about right now. Joining us to discuss this and how we can curb this is President of Journalists International Forum for Migration, Ajibola Abayomi. It's nice to have you join me now.
Good morning, and it's good to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. And we also have the president of Initiative for Youth Awareness on Migration, Immigration, Development, and Reintegration, Solomon Okodua, joining us on Skype. Solomon, good morning. All right, let's start from the studio as we try to get Solomon on. Now, Ajibola, the issue of illegal migration has been on for so many years. It is said that man, in fact, the human being, when it comes to moving from place to place, it's very human to move. And anything can make you move. Either something is pushing you or something is pulling you,
Absolutely.
which is very normal.
Absolutely.
But the trend that is going on now, where people in sub-Saharan Africa are moving into Europe and are ready to go through perilous journeys to get there, is something that a lot of people have frowned at. International organizations, European Union, all of them, the International Organization for Migration, have all, brought up campaign against this, even the Nigerian government and even other countries. But what do you think is behind this? Even when stories come back to Nigerians, letting them know that this is not the way to go.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing the issue to the fore again. But I must also say this. Why are we also so irregular in our policies in Nigeria?
Okay.
For us, at the level of Journalists International Forum for Migration, GFOM, and that is why we are putting up a summit in Ghana by this month, 25-26, to discuss migration issues in Africa. And the theme is just migration, labor migration, reappraising the paradigm such that it will benefit Africa. Don't forget, earlier this year, United Nations set the ball rolling by saying reappraising human mobility. So if you are talking about irregular migration, irregular migrant, who is an irregular migrant? It's just somebody staying in a country without permission. So what can make somebody to be so desperate to want to move from a region to another region? If you check our economic indices, it has confirmed that we have left a lot of things to be done. For instance, drivers of irregular migration in Nigeria are harsh economic policy. A lot of harsh taxes are being read out on Nigerians, and they don't have option than to move to where they think they can have succor. But and large,
but the mode of movement.
Yes, that's what I'm going to.
Okay.
The mode of movement should be regular. That is more rewarding. That is what we have been campaigning for. Thanks to the IOM for rescuing Nigeria through voluntary assisted return policy. But then, the youth we have back at home, how well is government taking care of them? Even those that had been returned, days ago you saw how over 800 Nigerians were returned from Saudi Arabia. What do we have as a reintegration policy for them? So we need to talk to ourselves, how did we get it wrong in Nigeria? How do we correct some of these things? But the answer to this question is that we must reset our economic policy. And that is why at the level of African GFOM is pushing to have a proper African forum where we can discuss.
All right, we'll come to this. Let me bring Solomon Okodua in here. Solomon, you've been in this for a long time. I recall that you have made trips to Europe, to Italy, and across the country as well, trying to see how you can negotiate with agencies on how to find solution to this. But talk to us basically, after all of this efforts over the years, what impact is it having, including the enlightenment campaign that has been put into this effort to dissuade people from embarking on illegal and perilous journeys?
Thank you. For us, the enlightenment program is a key. We need to, re-energize ourselves, to educate, to sensitize, to conscientize our people on the danger of irregular migration and human trafficking in our society. We must continue to encourage our people to engage in meaningful venture here in Nigeria, to see how they can, to see the beauty of dignity in whatever they are doing here in Nigeria. We also need to continue to let the relevant stakeholders know that, yes, capacity building is the key, but there are ways we can also change from the old way of doing things into a modern way to ensure that, yes, people see meaningful way of and have faith and confidence in their country, Nigeria, than living the country in such a irregular way. We are not saying nobody should travel out of the country. The idea with this, in a way, are giving them is there are better ways you can travel, and also making them to be relevant and be useful to whichever country they are going to, and so that they will become an ambassador of our country, ambassador of whichever state they are coming from in Nigeria, and to their family as well.
All right, Solomon, if I have to stay with you, when it comes to this issue of enlightening young people, what is government doing, apart from the federal government, if we have to draw it closer to the state and the local governments, what are they doing to engage these people, young people, enlighten them and letting them know that traveling the way they traveled through perilous journeys is not the way to go?
I think the current measures now that we are adopting, outside of the conventional way of trying to give them the normal skill, maybe in the bead making, gilly tying, this in the fishery, poultry and the rest of them. I think the new method that we are adopting now is we found out that a lot of people who are believe in this country narrow their excuses into unemployment in this country, narrow their excuses into government rejection and and several other excuses. Now we try to bridge the gap. Now how do we bridge the gap? Now in our last meeting with them with Italian and some European European stakeholders in Italy during the 2019 International Migrant Day in Genova, Italy, we resolved that, yes, capacity building is the key. Now, in schools, there are institutions who are qualified in Europe that Nigeria can partner with, but because this time we must continue to let our people know that migration as an aspiration is a major key for us now. Let them see migration as an aspiration instead of that desperation. We look at people you are showing now on your screen, how desperate they are leaving the country, through the very dangerous way. Look at the boat that's capsizing. Now, if they see a better way of leaving the country, into studying, that kind of going to Europe to study, going to Europe for training that will give them a lifelong income, training that will continue to put food on their table, training that will give them an opportunity for them to meet with policy makers in whichever country they are going to. I think everybody will be interested in it, and that is what the foundation Iyamin is laying now for Nigerian youths, because of the relationship we have built over time with European, with Italian and Hungarian, partnership.
All right.
We have.
Okay, Solomon.
I believe with this,
Solomon,
new idea,
I'll bring you on shortly. Solomon, I'll come back to you shortly.
That, yes,
Solomon,
after leaving school,
I'll come back to you shortly. Let me put you on hold a little bit, Solomon, and come to the studio. Ajibola, there is a trend in migration, or this particular illegal migration, that is a cause of worry. Now, if you look at in fact, the National Bureau of Statistics came up with the poverty index, and there were about 10 states that are classified as the poorest states in Nigeria. A lot of them, in fact, 9 of them, are in the northern part of the country. Ebonyi State is one of the 10, and that is the only state in the part of the south. Now, but if you check the trend where the source of illegal migration, those who are migrating and leaving Nigeria, a lot of them are not coming from the states that have endemic poverty as it is classified. Sokoto State, for instance, Zamfara State, for instance, Katsina State, for instance. We don't see majority of youth coming from there. Rather, we see majority of youth coming from the south, especially a state like Edo State or Delta State, Ondo State, and all of that. Why is that? Can you talk to us about this?
Yeah, thank you. I must acknowledge that Solomon, speaking from Abuja, is one of us. We are working together,
All right.
And he has been doing fantastically well. Yes, it depends on the side of migration you are looking at.
Okay.
Specifically in Nigeria, when you talk about, you chose the word illegal, and that is for essence where GFOM is organizing this training for journalists. The word we use is irregular. By the time you tag them illegal migrant, you are giving the security operatives the propensity to deal with the situation as if they are criminals. If people are moving out of the country, you talk about the southern part of Nigeria, particularly from Edo and elsewhere, Ondo and all that. The reason basically is for economic reasons. And don't also forget, there are a large chunk of Nigerians that are moving from the north. Migration, irregular migration, is not about moving from here to Europe. There are a lot of irregular migration within Africa. In fact, intra-movement within African states is even more. So what we need to do to check inflows of all this is we must put our economic right. That is just the only way to go. Okay, give me the statistics of youth that are employed in the southern or northern Nigeria. Be far, far below what should be. So the real thing is for us to admit the fact that the reality is here with us. We have seen economies that have recovered, and we saw their people trooping back home. For instance, Ghana in the 80 Rollins. There was one that are doing all sorts of odd jobs here in Nigeria. But when the economy of Ghana revibrated, they returned home. So basically, when we are looking at issues of irregular migration, this is where government really needs to sit tight. Don't forget that irregular migration is also what leads to human trafficking. When you talk about the human trafficker, what do they bank on? They look at the socio-economic status of people in most cases. They deceive them that when you live here, when you go to Europe, for instance, how could you imagine a graduate of English in Nigeria being told that you were going to be teaching English in Qatar, where they speak Arab? And when they get there, it's another thing entirely, that they have been thrown into slavery. You saw thousands of them that have been rescued back in Nigeria from Lebanon, from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia. We are not happy with all these stories. But again, if we are taking our people being repatriated, how well are we integrating them back into society? They need a lot of support, psychological support, a lot of financial support, but government is not responding enough. It is not enough for us to come and be showcasing people going through the Mediterranean Sea or people were taken back from Libya. The most important is that how are we seeing to the economic recovery? It's all reminder that they reunite with their society and they're happy.
All right, Solomon in Abuja, let me come to you on this now. When it comes to finding a solution to this irregular migration, I wonder, illegal, irregular, maybe it's semantics, but I know one is most appropriate when it comes to mentioning irregular migration. But when it comes to finding a solution to this, where do you think we should start from, Solomon?
Yeah, in moving forward, I think, like I said, advocacy, continuous sensitization on telling the Nigerian youth the antis and sides of traffickers and smugglers as well, because we often talk about traffickers, we don't talk about the smugglers. The smugglers who are everywhere, you find them in the north, you find them in the south, you find them in the east, you find them in the west. And to narrow this in a popular, this in a particular ethnic group as a most vulnerable to migrants is also is not I don't think because there are other people, other ethnic nationality, ethnic groups who are also into this movements that is underreported as well. So Edo State happened to be one of the states a lot of people identify with, and that is why they are proud to say they are living the country because of the proceed the people in abroad have made, and that is the impact the people in abroad have made in that state. Now, going forward now is to see how people in our society, Edo State, the Niger Delta youths, the Southwest, the Northeastern, and the Northwestern people, the youth in that region, to engage their constituents on how to kind of empower them meaningfully. Engage them meaningfully, not the cosmetic way of empowering people that, yes, you buy them with Biro and say you're empowering constituent. No, you buy them how to make this in 2 gallons of soap stuff and tell them like that. This is an empowerment. That's not the way. Teach them how to be gainfully employed in so many sectors. Like this the training we're talking about now is marine welding, gas pipe welding, rail track installation. These are professional ways that these are skills that you can learn in 3 to 6 months. And when you are done with this training, I can assure you, people, that is, thank God that the Nigerian government they are investing more on railway today. And who are the people working in our rail track installation? You find most of them are not even our country. So if we have our youths if we train our youth into this sector, we've been able to increase our GDP in the near future. And secondly, we're also improving our local content in developing our nation, Nigeria, and also protecting the pipeline in the host community, because people that will be trained, they are coming from the Niger Delta region, and Niger Delta region in Nigeria are the major people who have the oil, vast oil, issue in our nation, Nigeria. So these people are key, and also the people in the Northwest. You recall a while ago when Ashek Mugumi met with the people in some bandits in Northeastern states, and they told them that yes, Nigerian people, they are being reintegrated after submitting arms. What happens to our youth? Now, I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. There are ways people are kind of reacting to so many actions that a lot of people are a lot of actions of the government. Now, these northern youths are also Nigerian youths. Get them a grade and take the arms away from them and give them a skill that will make them to be an ambassador of this country. You understand? So you can't just continue to say, okay, let us give them money and let them go back to the street. No, teach them how to be reasonable, how to be responsible, how to face the future squarely. And that's my take. Because if you don't do that today, you will be spending that millions of dollars, into buy arms to secure to fight banditry, to fight kidnapping, to fight insecurity. So our approach is invest in preventive measure instead of curative measure. Yeah. And if we do that today, I can assure you the next 4 or 5 years, you will see the strategy, it will work in a very miraculous way.
All right. Thank you very much, Solomon Okodwa, for your time on the program. I really appreciate it. All right. Coming back to the studio now, we still have Ajibola here. Now, when it comes to the issue of prosecution of those who are involved, like you were mentioning earlier, a lot of the irregular migration sometimes are painted and are carried out by a network of people who are seen to be traffickers in some,
absolutely,
as the case may be. We haven't seen much of prosecution of those people.
Oh, you need to follow the record. Since 2013, National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, have actually prosecuted over 500 or thereabout. But we must go beyond that. It is not all about prosecution. Like it's been said here, we need to actually see how we re-energize the system to create employment opportunities for the youth, to make our economy stand firm to the demands of the reality of the day. There are a lot to gain if we rechannel our energy and we rebuild this economy. Don't forget, about $46 billion comes to the sub-Saharan Africa in 2019. Out of this chunk that came into regular migration remittances, Nigeria had over $25 billion coming to our economy directly. That is to tell you that a lot still needs to be done. Then, for instance, we need to think more of how we also fund NAPTIP. Government is not funding NAPTIP enough, in my own estimation. We need to empower NAPTIP in such a way that they are present in all the 774 local governments in Nigeria, and they also partner with the Nigerian Immigration Service. We must put a check to Nigerians traveling for fun or for what have you, particularly to all this Middle East. It may interest you to know that there is a killing system in the Middle East that enslaves thousands of Nigerians called kafala. Kafala is a system whereby in the Middle East region that allows the Arab people to take slaves elsewhere and keep them. And that is the kind of system that is, killing our people. They pay for it. The traffickers you are seeing in Nigerians, on each of the girls or on each of the persons they are taking to Middle East, they get paid. And somehow we have also identified that some government officials are involved. But at the level of journalists from International Forum for Migration, what we have done is this. Because some of these things are discreetly done, we have given out information to NAPTIP in discreet about some of these agencies that are faking employment, and we also expect that NAPTIP will take it up from there. Really, there's need to put NAPTIP on the hot seat. But then, how well are we funding NAPTIP? They need to be empowered. NAPTIP need a lot of personnel. We must secure our country. And one of the ways we have to do is that we must just have to empower the people. You saw what happened during the NSAS. The energy of the youth, the energy that went into that destruction, if we have been able to pull our resources together and it goes into production, we know what Nigerians will benefit for you. But for us, GFORM again, we are much more interested in training journalists so that they can lead the advocacy well and properly. And that is why we are also going to launch a book called Concept in Migration, a journalist guide. All the terminologies, all the activities that are involved, that revolves around migration, the terminologies, the way and manner to understand all these reportage are contained in the book. We will avail TVC a copy.
All right. That'll be interesting. Thank you very much, Jibola Abayomi, for coming on the program.
Yeah.
You are the president of Journalists International Forum for Migration. Thank you so much for
It's always a
your
pleasure
time.
to be on
Thank
TVC,
you.
and TVC
Thank
will
you.
always have our support.
All right. Thank you very much.